Imagine waking up on a random morning with $1 billion in your bank accounts. What would you do? Go on trips, buy out hotels, or even part time as a vigilante? Let me tell you what a Saudi billionaire does. He buys clubs. Uh huh, not your average club. Football clubs. And then buys branded football players like Ronaldo. They got him by offering 7 times the wages he earned at his last club. But is this capital influxed growth really sustainable? Let's find out in the video. So let's start by understanding the current Saudi football growth model. With the government aiming to diversify out of the oil economy, under the vision Saudi 2030, it saw football as a viable option and decided to move the soccer league from government fuel money to the PIF fuel money. Now, PIF is the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia, which basically invests for the welfare of Saudi citizens on the behalf of the government. It also owns 80% stake in Newcastle United, one of the most prominent clubs of the past in the Premier League. So, moving forward, let's try to understand the different stakeholders involved. Now, for money inflow, there is government and audience. Government provides money through grants and PIF, while audience through viewership, match tickets, merchandise sales, and through corporations by providing sponsorships. This money outflows due to the expenses, which is incurred in the form of wages and salaries, capex expansion expenses, and maintenance related costs. Now, the league is structured with clubs divided into two types of ownership: PIF owned and ministry owned clubs. The Saudi League currently consists of 18 clubs, out of which PIF has taken 75% stake in Al Nasser, Al Hilal, Al Ahli, and Al Ittihad. Before this, all of the clubs in Saudi were technically owned by country's Ministry of Sport. So this has led to a major gap between top 4 and rest of the clubs in the league, which is the first red flag we can identify here. PIF's ownership was followed by spending spree for high value football players, begging players from top European leagues to Saudi Arabian league, which included Cristiano Ronaldo, Karim Benzema, and Neymar, and many more world class football players. And Saudi's key goal to us looks like to create a cycle of marquee players attracting fans. These fans attracting money in the form of ticket sales, merchandise sales, broadcasting rights, and sponsorships. And this money to be reused to get more marquee players. And its key goal is to build its global broadcasting presence and become one of the top 10 soccer leagues in the world. Now in section 2, let's discuss how this model has worked out for Saudi so far. So the things has been going as per plan, with the Saudi Pro League witnessing a substantial growth in revenue by 650% in the first month of 23-24 season. Not only revenue, but increasing attendance and social media engagement is also a plus. And alongside, the SPL has backed a growth of 75% in the number of sponsors this season. Claiming this, the competition has become the third most profitable league in the world. And this money is also going into the youth football development. The funding in Saudi youth football has increased by 162% since 2021. And 23 regional training centers has been established and opened. How is this going to go in the future? Now, Saudi's emphasis is on both on and off the pitch expansion of the football economy, with talent onboarding from outside and developing local talent within the country for on the pitch expansion, while building infrastructure and creating hype and culture for off the pitch expansion. But will this upcoming phase of Saudi League growth be a success? Let's discuss why it may fail.
Section 3: Why the Saudi League may fail. So let's roll back the time a bit and see what does the history teach us. Many leagues have tried to use the lure of money to create a support base for their new leagues. MLS and Chinese being the two most prominent ones that use these strategies. MLS has been attracting aging superstars for decades and even made the rule of designated player to break the salary cap for lucrative contracts. Premier League icons such as Frank Lampard, Wayne Rooney, Thierry Henry, World Cup winner David Villa, legends such as Beckham, Bale, and Ibrahimovic, and even the rivals for the GOAT title, Pele and Messi, are any day better than the Saudi League player portfolio. Even though domestic football growth made MLS more popular than ever in America, it never grew enough to challenge the European leagues. So history is kind of against the Saudi League's growth. Players attract fans, but for how long? The fundamental law of football is very simple. The football fans support teams, not players. Getting people to support Saudi League teams is a big challenge. People like challenges, tough matches, and situations where they see new players emerge and continue the legacy of older generations, thereby creating a club legacy. Such loyalty building might take years or even decades for the Saudi League. Another point to consider is the lack of a proper talent architecture in Saudi. The investment in Saudi League has increased more than 10 times in the last 2 years, while the youth investment has just 1.5x. So the focus on talent production and scouting is still less than what would be required to make the league self-sustainable. Also, Saudi is focusing on local talent only, whereas European clubs have been acquiring talent using outreach centers all across the world. Saudi's talent architecture is not even prominent in Saudi, whereas Europe has developed a worldwide talent network. This shows a clear gap in the quality of the two leagues. Instead of looking to make their operation self sustainable, they are opting for short term solutions such as short term investments, making their league dependent on Europe, an approach which simply can't function for more than 5 years before the money runs out or UFO imposes restrictions on selling players outside of Europe. Another major question that arises is, will Saudi Arabia become inclusive to world talent like Europe did? Laws in Saudi Arabia are way more stricter compared to Europe, and these force a change of lifestyle for players moving to Saudi. A player well embedded in European culture would find it very difficult to adjust to Saudi Arabian restrictions. Considering fans, the restrictions in Saudi Arabia would make it uncomfortable to travel to leagues to watch a match in Saudi. One such restriction is that football fans love beer and other alcoholic products which are completely banned in Saudi. Section 4. Our opinion. In our opinion, the Saudi League growth has been unsustainable and is primarily driven by the capital that is being invested. The key requirement for a self-sustainable league are fan loyalty, which takes years of efforts to build, and talent, which they are buying, not building, which will also take a lot of years to build. Hence, we believe that Saudi League will become a global competitor through capital influx growth, but not good enough to compete with the top flight leagues. The bottlenecks found in the current Saudi League growth model need a lot of fixing, both on the financial and the football side of things. This was the Saudi football story for you guys. Express your opinions in the comments below. See you guys in the next video. Until then, keep cutting the noise.